Hi, Deborah.
Hey, sorry, I had to get ready real quick.
No, you're perfect. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Hey, Chris, how's it going? Good to see you.
See you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Ready for some good vibes tonight.
You bet.
We're just going to wait a few more moments to let people join us tonight. So there's some good folks in the audience that we can say hello to already.
What's up, audience members? Hey.
Y'all are welcome to type in the chat throughout tonight. Say hello.
Yeah, I'll be saying, what's up with your Kung Lao hat? Hey.
Hello to Michelle Sunset. Brooke Benson's excited to be here. Hello to Dara. Hello to Dana Robertson, who says, thanks for putting this on.
Thanks for joining us, Dana.
Awesome. I think we'll go ahead and start our slow introduction to things. That'll give us folks a little bit of time to log on and join us this evening. I just have a few introductions to make this evening. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. And welcome. My name is Katie Christensen. I'm the Curator of Education and Statewide Engagement at the University of Wyoming Art Museum. And you are joining us for a virtual performance and discussion with Supaman. So we're here to celebrate National Native American Heritage Month, which is all of November. This specific program is connected to an exhibition on view right now at the Art Museum called Material Tradition, textiles from the collection. So if you're in Laramie, we hope that you come see the exhibition. If you're not in Laramie, we're posting in the chat, my colleague Rachel Cook is posting for you a link to view the exhibition, and you're welcome. Please take a look at that as we're talking before the videos happen tonight. Just so you know a little bit about the exhibition, it features objects that are part of global material tradition. So in addition to the wonderful moccasins we're going to be talking about tonight, there are Rapa Nui works, Chinese cuffs. There's all sorts of beautiful material tradition objects that contain stories, and each object having a history. Some of the histories we know, and some, like the moccasins, we're still learning and uncovering. So tonight there are two objects that we're talking about, two pairs of beautifully beaded moccasins. So take a look in the link in the chat box and you'll be able to view those this evening. And again, if you're in Laramie, come take a look in person. We'd love to have you join the Art Museum. I think it's important tonight to acknowledge that we collectively acknowledge here at the University of Wyoming that in Laramie we occupy the ancestral and traditional lands of Cheyenne, Arapaho, Crow, and Shoshone Indigenous peoples, along with other Native tribes who called the Great Basin and Rocky Mountain region home. We recognize, support, and advocate alongside Indigenous individuals and communities who live here now and those who were forcibly removed from their homelands. A little bit more housekeeping tonight. So we're encouraging safe and respectful language be used in the chat discussions. I invite you to practice a little self-reflection and just really be present tonight for the performance and the Q&A at the end. And we really hope these dialogues continue well after tonight concludes. So tonight we're actually recording That is a good reminder for me to record. Now we're recording. And we're also streaming to YouTube Live. The recording will be posted on YouTube as well. So if somebody you know missed tonight, please encourage them to come take a look after and watch the recording. So a big, huge thank you to the Wyoming Arts Council with support from the Wyoming Legislature and the National Endowment for the Arts for supporting this program tonight. The month of honoring Native American heritage is in partnership here on campus with the Native American Education, Research, and Cultural Center and Native American and Indigenous Studies. So I'll talk a little bit about the end, at the end of our presentation about additional activities that you can participate in next week as well. So stay tuned for more events that you can kind of celebrate. So like I said, this evening's webinar format has both chat and Q&A function. And you'll notice the buttons in the lower part of your screen. Please feel free to chat throughout the evening and participate that way. And if you'd like to ask a specific question, we ask that you type that into the Q&A box and I'll help moderate some of those questions at the end. Also notice that you can toggle between two different views if you're not familiar with Zoom. The speaker view just moves on to the one person speaking, or gallery view kind of has everybody in the participant side or the panelist side of things. If you need transcription this evening, there's a link in the chat for that as well to help you follow along. A big thank you to Noelle Schatz for her assistance in transcribing the event tonight. I'd like to take a moment to introduce Deborah Littleson. Huge shout out to Deborah. Her tribal affiliation is Crow and Northern Cheyenne. She's also our business manager here at the Art Museum, and she serves on the advisory council for the Native American Center. Without Deborah, we really wouldn't be here this evening, and I know I'm really grateful for her leadership at the Art Museum and really for sharing her culture. We've learned so much here at the museum and hope that you all learn from her tonight as well. Deborah, if you can turn your video on and just say hi for a second, we'll invite you back during the Q&A as well. Oh, perfect, there you are.
Thanks for joining us.
And then tonight, our special guest. It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce him. He is Christian Takes Gun Parrish. He's a member of the Apsaalooke Nation. So Supaman makes his home on the Crow Reservation in Montana. As I said, he's known as Christian Takes Gun Parrish. He's a Native American dancer, an innovative hip hop artist who's dedicated his life to empowering and spreading a message of hope, pride, resilience, all through his art form. And if you've had a chance to kind of look at his work or view anything on social media, it just makes your heart grow. And so it's my pleasure to introduce the rest of what we're going to talk about tonight. Some of the honors that Christian's had, there's so many. Among his many honors are the 2017 MTV VMA Award for the Best Fight Against the System. He was awarded the Aboriginal People's Choice Music Award in Canada for the best video, and he was voted MTV's New Artist of the Week. His 2018 nominations brought him home awards for Best Hip Hop Album and Best Producer for Indigenous Music Awards. And his latest video titled Prayer Loop Song, we'll get to see that tonight actually, and an additional video called Why have both gone viral and received millions of views on YouTube and Facebook. We're so grateful to have him join us here this evening because he's touring throughout the USA and internationally. And some kind of fun things, he's recently been asked to audition for America's Got Talent and the Broadway play Hamilton. And he's currently working with Taboo from the multi-Grammy Award-winning group, the Black Eyed Peas. They're looking to complete that project in the coming months. Christian, thank you. Supaman, thank you for joining us. Do you want to say anything before we start the video tonight?
Sure. I'd just like to thank everybody for tuning in. It's a honor and a privilege to be able to share, some culture and music with all you people out there. So thank you. Stay tuned and let's get into it.
Awesome. Here we go. And like I said, please feel free to chat throughout the video. I'm going to play and then we'll come back for a little Q&A.
Kahe, Laja, wea gemach lahuk, biyashi chidik and nababe itchik. I said, what's up, my good Christian Parrish Takes the Gun, aka Supaman. Come from the Apsaalooke Nation in Montana, or the Crow Nation is the mistranslation of our people. My Apsaalooke name is Awea Gemachla, which means good fortune on Mother Earth. And my clan is the Yashichida, which is the Big Lodge clan. So it's an honor and a privilege to be able to share some culture with you. And as Native people, I guess I shouldn't say Native. When we say Native, we're generalizing, over 600 different tribes, in the U.S. alone. Each one is different languages, customs, practices, songs, everything. And so when I say Native, that's just a totally general term. I guess I can say Northern Plains tribes, or Apsaalooke. So in some of our customs, we open up in a good way. We start off in a good way through the custom of smudging, and that is using our medicines, sweetgrass, cedar, sage, different things, bear root. We burn this and we do a smudge. We put the smoke over ourselves, or they do it over different items to purify or cleanse. And so I'm going to go ahead and start off with a virtual smudge. We can't be together in person, but since we're online, I'm going to do this virtually. So wherever you are, you just take this smudge and just put it over your body, wherever you are, and and take that blessing. All right. So they use the different medicines. This one's a sage bundle. I usually use sweetgrass or cedar. A lot of Apsaalooke, we use cedar a lot. And so it's just a good way to start off, the virtual smudge here. Yeah, so wherever you are, you can just take that, put it on your heart, and start off in a good way. Another way we start off is through song, in prayer. So I'm going to go ahead and offer this song on the flute as I'm playing this flute song. I want all you good people watching just to think about what you are thankful for in this life. All right, so just think about what you're thankful for as I play this song. Thinking about what you were thankful for, whether that's your family, whether that's your job, whether that is food in the fridge, a place to live. We all have something to be thankful for. I myself am thankful for my family, thankful for my health, my 3 beautiful children, my beautiful wife, and just to be blessed to spend this time on earth with one another in this time in history, so that's what it's all about. So what we're gathered here online for is to talk about moccasins, so coming from the Apsaalooke Nation, we have great beaters, people who are really talented in beadwork. Even, back in the day, other tribes would talk about the Apsaalooke beadwork was very beautiful. So you see these moccasins here. These ones are my moccasins that my wife. So I'm a fancy dancer. I dance the style called fancy dancing, and my wife and my daughters spent their hard, their time beading my outfit. And my wife, these were actually her first moccasins, my wife. So you see how beautiful they are, the designs, the Apsaalooke designs. And so being a fancy dancer and traveling around on different powwows, I kind of like, take my family with me, the beadwork. When they sit around the table, the women, I heard that they put their good thoughts and their good energy into the beadwork that they're making, for that person. So when that person puts on that beadwork, they'll take that same vibe, they'll take that same blessing with them, wherever they go. And so I know my wife and my daughter, put their good prayers and their blessings into the beadwork that I have. And so wherever I travel, I kind of take that good energy and take my family with me. I'm never alone, when I travel. So moccasins, are very important, to the Apsaalooke or, Northern Plains tribal lifestyle. When they would go hunting, it was kind of like having a car, man. If you ain't got no car, man, you can't go. You can't go nowhere. You're just stuck. Same with moccasins, man. You had to have some moccasins to be able to travel, to be able to walk, on Mother Earth. You got cactuses, you got sage, you got all these obstacles, sharp rocks. So you had to have yourself a good pair of moccasins. And, nowadays, we have shoes and, we go about life. It takes years to wear out shoes, or maybe they never even wear out. But back then, the landscape, man, you went through moccasins, man, in a day. So they would go hunting, and they would take extra pairs of moccasins. They packed extra pairs of moccasins. And sometimes when they were, going to war or going to go steal horses, and they were out there and ended up getting into a fight, and having to run on the ground for miles and miles away from the enemy or whatever it was, and then they have to change moccasins. Have to put on another pair, and or if they only had one pair and they ran out, they have to kill a buffalo, and they were grateful to be able to have that experience of, oh hey, there's a buffalo there, I can eat. I can make a new pair of moccasins, So moccasins are very, very valuable. They're very valuable to native people, to tribal people, to the Apsaalooke, where I come from. And so when I put these on, and I'm able to dance out there, at powwows and everything, I feel blessed. I feel blessed to have a good pair of moccasins. And when they get a hole or whatever, they get a moccasin blowout. I tell my wife, and she's happy to repair them. She's proud, to repair them and allow me to dance again. And so I've been traveling around. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a hip hop artist. I'm a flute player. I'm a father, I'm a husband, and so I get to wear my outfit. And I was saying the men's fancy dance is the style that I do now. And it comes from the horse dance or the crazy dance, I was told. It is actually a contemporary style of powwow culture. If you know powwow culture is a more kind of like a subculture of different tribes. And so there's a lot of adopting going on, So I adopted this style, which is called the men's fancy dance. And it comes from Oklahoma. I was told it comes from the Ponca people. And so I adopted this style called the men's fancy, which is a very contemporary style of dance. And so there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of steps, a lot of fancy footwork and things like that. In the traditional dancing, you know, you just have the steps that are 1, 2, 1, 2, you know, and so maybe your moccasins don't get tore up as much, you know, as a fancy dancer. So as a fancy dancer, you're kicking up your legs and you're constantly sliding your feet. You're doing, you know, just different movements with your feet. And so you can run out of moccasins, get a lot of blowouts, you know, in the moccasins sometimes. And so I really value my moccasins. And so I want to share this dance with you, good people, which is called, excuse me, which is called the men's fancy dance. And you'll see this style at different powwows. It's a more up-tempo style of dance and more of, you know, as I said, contemporary, but there is a lot of showmanship. You know, it's for the show. I was told that it was created, you know, for the spectators, you know, who are watching. So check this out. This is the men's fancy. Hey, so there you have it. That is called the men's fancy dance there. You could tell I was a little bit out of shape, you know, just right at the end, just kind of barely moving. You had that thick grass and you had that wind, you know, just kind of takes its toll on your body. But it's very athletic, you know, as you can see. And so there's like thousands of dancers across the US and Canada who dance this style, you know, many different champions, well-known dancers, you know, in the powwow culture. And so I'm just proud, you know, to be a part of that dance style, you know, which is called the men's fancy. So me as an artist, you know, I am a hip-hop artist, believe it or not. And over time, I have put the two cultures together, which is the native culture, powwow culture, and hip-hop culture together, and created this you know, just kind of like original art form, I guess you could say. Some say, you can't do that, you know, you shouldn't do that. Keep them separate, you know, because I know as an Apsaalooke, all our music comes from the, you know, from the element of wind, and it is said to be all spiritual. All our songs, Crow songs or Apsaalooke songs are spiritual. They have the foundation of spirituality, and they come from the wind. And so to just put that together with you know, hip-hop music, you know, it's kind of like you don't really do that, you know. But I was told at an event one time that it was a good thing, you know, by one of our elders. He said, our young people are dying, they're committing suicide, they're on drugs, they're on alcohol. And anything you do to reach those people, you know, with a good heart, it's worth it. You know, it's worth doing. And so he kind of encouraged us to keep going as long as we had, you know, we had a good heart, we had good intentions, you know, to reach people in a good way. And I myself had seen people embrace their native side, their native culture, because they saw the infusion of the two, and they wanted to participate. So I think it's a good thing, as long as you know the protocols and you kind of know where it's coming from, and you're positive. You have that positive intention. And so I started creating this music and traveling around and performing things like that, using music and spreading good messages. And so later on, fast forward, we started doing this, and we got nominated for MTV VMA with an amazing artist named Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas, and we ended up winning an MTV VMA award, for a song that we did called Stand Up for Standing Rock. During the time at Standing Rock, the youth formed this movement for water. Water is life, and we contributed to that movement with our music, and we ended up getting nominated for MTV VMA and winning an MTV VMA award, which is amazing. So especially as an indigenous person, as a native person, to win that award is awesome. So came home and my family said, "Hey, we're proud of you," and that was the real award, right there, knowing that my family was proud of me for doing something positive. So that's an example to show, my relatives, my native relatives, around the native country, or different tribes, that good things can happen, when you make positive choices and you're very prayerful in your life. And so I wanted to share this video and show you the art, the kind of like contemporary style of native music, the native infusion. And this song is called the Prayer Loop Song. This song is kind of like basically my identity, as a 21st century native. We kind of walk in two worlds, and I think all native people, indigenous tribal people, we're in a state of emergency, in holding on to our identities, our culture, and our values. And so this is kind of like my identity right here. We have prayer, we have native dancing, we have the beatboxing, we have hip hop, and so anyway, check this out. It's called the Prayer Loop Song.
the ones listening right now, struggling, feel like giving it right now. I pray for you, pray that you come back home. I pray that you understand that you're never alone. I pray for the single mothers and the deadbeat dads. Drop the kids off and go party gets me mad. So I pray for peace and pray for change. Keep on praying when everything stays the same. And I pray for the pastors and all of the churches and those who cry like song following hearses. I pray for you, pray for the sick and the poor. Pray for the rich man who don't give to the Lord. And I pray for wisdom and I pray for power. And I pray for be ready in the final hour. And I pray for those who keep judging ministry. And I pray for my friends and my enemies. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Come on. Break it down. Can somebody help me up? Who?
Woohoo! I feel like we should all clap there. Please help me in giving Christian a big round of applause. Of course, the challenge is that we're in this virtual space. We would love to bring Christian back in person, but hopefully you got some of the feel for his fancy dance and some of these multiple identities of things. We'd like to spend the rest of the time in conversation. So folks, if you have questions, I know there was a question that was posted in the chat. What are the singers singing about? I think Supaman tried to answer that. It came just to us. So I'm gonna let him answer it now on video. If you wanna talk a little bit about what they were saying, go ahead.
They were saying, I don't know. I actually don't know what they were saying because that is a group called Northern Cree, and that is in the Cree language. And so sometimes when it comes to powwow singing, even a straight song, a lot of people say, what are they saying? It could be, and that's not any language. It's just a melody, it's kind of like humming, It's like that. But that particular song does have words in it. So some songs have words in it, but those words are the Cree language, and I don't really know what they were saying. But when it comes to powwow songs, it's usually something, like about the dancer, or it's good vibes. It's always like a positive thing. It's never like, real negative or anything like that. It's always about, the dancer, or, it's a good day, just different subjects like that.
Yeah, we had someone in the audience who I happen to know is a musician who said it's kind of like native scat, right? Like jazz music almost.
Yeah, kind of like that. Mm-hmm. Some songs are like that.
Deborah, you posted you love that song and listen to it when you're running. The part that I want to ask you about is it makes you feel strong. So maybe you and Christian can both talk a little bit about in the ways that you kind of draw strength. Either of you, go ahead.
I'll introduce myself. Good evening. My name is Singing Bird. You all know me as Deborah Middleson. I just want to take this opportunity to tell you all that this was all my big idea. And I do the accounting for the University Art Museum. I take care of all their finances. I don't work in education, but as I seen the moccasins in the material tradition exhibition, and it was Native American Heritage Month, and it was November, and it was Rock Your Mocks, I said, why shouldn't we collaborate with the Native Center? Why shouldn't we do some fun things to my director and chief curator, Nicole Crawford, she has talked about Supaman and wanted to bring him in this year. And with the COVID restrictions, we haven't been able to do a whole lot. And I was like, this would be the perfect opportunity. And we've done work with him before with our Keepers of the Fire. We brought him in. So thank you, Chris, for joining us again today. And just want to say, like, thank you for all your like good vibes right now, and especially in November, you know, all the political things that we've seen in our world leading up to November and how tense things were. I was really in need of some good medicine. And these songs, we were talking about it with some of the ladies at work, and I said, it's like when you hear the beat of the drum and then you see them dancing and like you hear it, you feel it, like you feel it right here. And you're just like, you get these feelings. And my coworker Michelle, she was saying, I felt that. She was like, I was working and I was listening to his music, and she was like, I was getting really inspired. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I love that, you know. So I'm just really happy to be able to share that all with you for Native American Heritage Month. I am so fortunate that I work at the Art Museum and I get to learn so much about the world and history and culture and art and things that I never knew about. And so this is my opportunity to share some of my awesomeness with you all. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Perfect. We have a question from Rainey Robeson. First, she says, so amazing. Couldn't agree more with that. She says, you talk about native, this is in quotation marks, being a general word. Could you talk a little bit about how trans-native identity and connecting with tribes and indigenous peoples across the world shapes your music? Oh, that's actually from Jason Robeson. Sorry. Thanks, Jason.
What was that? How trans-native identity connecting with tribes and indigenous people across. Yeah, so there's always the, the titles, the politically correct, different things, over time, it kind of changes and say, oh, no, we're not that, we're this, I accept this, and things like that. So when it comes to the title, I guess, it always goes back to the tribe, so before I am an indigenous person, I guess, so they say indigenous now, I'm indigenous to this land here. So before that, I'm Apsaalooke. But a lot of people in Canada will say, no, I'm First Nations, they'll say First Nations, or some will say indigenous, different terms. I guess it's just, I remember saying, I'm an Indian, I'm Indian, Lots Grass Indians, and, just kind of you embrace that. And then you learn yourself, like we're in this colonized world, even as a Native person, I myself don't know everything there is about being Apsaalooke, about being Native. I'm not a historian. I'm a student of my own culture, of my own identity, so I'm always learning as well. And then somebody said, yeah, you're not from India. They said that this country was supposed to be India, but they were lost. And so they called you Indians. And so everybody embraced that for so long. But that wasn't our who we are. We're not Indians. We're not from India. And so they kind of switches, so there's just different terms like indigenous. But when it comes down to it, I'd like to say, I'm Apsaalooke at first, but I'm indigenous to the land, I guess, even though we're all indigenous to the earth. I don't know if that answered the question or not.
Well, Jason, if it didn't, feel free to chime back in and ask a follow-up question for sure. I just want to read a few things in the chat. So Lucy was the one that asked about the language, and she said, thanks for your answer. I love reading these things out loud. So one of her best memories is falling asleep late at night under the stars of Montana, listening to the singing and drumming. It was long ago, but a strong memory. I feel like some of those things like get in your bones, right? They get into your being and your body. Do you want to talk a little bit more about, you mentioned in the video, like athleticism and being kind of in your body in that way. Do you want to talk about that as a vessel or the importance of your body and athleticism?
Yeah, for sure. Like the feeling, just like Deborah was saying, when you hear that drum and you hear that singing, you can't help but feel it. Like it's a spiritual experience. And as a Apsaalooke, I think I might have said it in the video, but all our music comes from the element of wind. It's all spiritual. All the songs that we have come from a spiritual foundation. So our people, like that is our foundation, is spirituality. And so when you go to a powwow, and you hear that drum, and they say that the drum is the heartbeat, of Mother Earth. And they say that it has a spirit. It's like everything in Apsaalooke culture, on the earth was created by the Creator, and it all has like a spirit, has a spiritual connection. So same with the drum, it's like a person, it's a person that brings forth that life, brings forth life. So when you hear that drum, like life is happening, power is taking place and singing. And so when I first went out there and danced, as a Crow traditional dancer, before I danced fancy, man, I could feel it, I just felt like, yo, I'm supposed to be here. This is where I belong. I'm connected to this. I'm connected to this this experience right now. And so anybody can feel it, whether you're tribal person, native or not. You feel that connection that the music has, and that's a powerful thing. I'm glad that there's still singers. Without the singers and the drummers, there's no powwow. There's no dancing, because that always comes first. So when a dancer dances, he doesn't dance and then they sing for him. He follows the singers. So
it's like a relationship, like a conversation almost, right?
Oh yeah, definitely a connection.
A lot of people are responding to the comment you made about appreciating this idea of being a student of your own culture. This has been a lifelong practice for you, but I think by spending time on your website, you're starting to collaborate with all these other people from all these other global cultures. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that learning experience or being a student of that kind of experience has been like?
Yeah, for sure. One particular video that I did called Miracle, we wanted to kind of like, there's a certain vision that a medicine man from the Lakota people, his name was Black Elk Speaks, or his name was Black Elk, but the book I read was called Black Elk Speaks. And when I read that book, it just really, like really jumped out at me, because his vision was about restoring the sacred hoop, kind of like of the hoop of humanity, all people, all races, all colors, like coming together. And so that was like, yo, that's something that I have that desire to bring people together, rather than exclusion. I want people to come together and love one another, things like that. And so when I read that, I was like, man, that's powerful. And so we made this song called Miracle. And that's what we were trying to do, is bring, all kinds of people together, kind of like at Standing Rock. So that music came from Standing Rock during that time, water is life and things like that. And so when I sent the beat, I sent that beat to the young lady named Maimona Yosef, and I said, yeah, just sing whatever you want, however the music is making you feel. And she didn't even know I had just finished the book, Black Elk Speaks, about restoring that, and about the ghost dance, the ghost dance. And so when she got the beat, she sang the hook and she talked about the spirit of the ghost dance, and I was like, yo, I didn't even tell her or nothing. So just kind of, the stars lined up, and it was a powerful thing, it was a powerful thing. And so we wanted to showcase different cultures, different indigenous cultures around the world, and kind of bring people together, because we all share water. Every human being shares, water, and we need to stand up and fight for that right. And so, yeah, it's amazing to see, other people kind of like being intrigued by natives, or, like other places like across the country or across the world, they really into natives, they really like, wow, that's amazing. We read about you, and like in Germany or France, they have a different perspective. They're like, yeah, we always cheered, for the natives, and they actually like love natives so much that they dress up, they dress up and they have their own little powwows and everything, but they kind of do it, with good intentions and respectfully, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, that's super fascinating. I might come back to that, but I want to make sure our audience has the opportunity to ask questions, and there's several coming in. So what hip hop artists do you like to listen to?
Shoot, I listen to all kinds, man. Like some of top five. I'll say top five. I'd say Eminem, Crooked Eye, Black Thought, Jizza from the Wu-Tang Clan, and maybe who else? Royce the 5'9". I'm a '90s man. I'm a back in the 1900s. I'm from the 1900s, man. And so just anybody who's lyrical. Like nowadays, I guess, I love nowadays the hip hop. It's good. I vibe out with it, but there seems to be a lacking in the skill of writing. So hip hop culture always focusing on the skill of writing, the craft of writing. So when you hear Eminem, you hear, cussing and kicking, bucket of chicken, that's 5-syllable rhymes. And then you hear different punchlines and things like that. So I'm always drawn to people who take time, with the craft of writing. They're not just, hey, 1-syllable rap. I could write this verse, in 15 minutes. No, I'm not about that. I'm about people who take like a whole month, to finish a whole piece of art in their writing. So yeah, old school Onyx, anybody who has like a rough, rugged voice. That's the kind of hip hop I listen to, I guess. I could go on and on.
It's all good. I think we have a lot of children of the 90s in the audience tonight. You're getting a lot of comments there, so that's awesome. Another question for you. So it occurred to Catherine that Indigenous music would work so well on a loop station, and she loves it. So what inspired you to explore this kind of fusion?
I'll tell the story real quick. So I've been doing hip hop for a long time, 1900s, and I never put them together. I started doing hip hop, I made beats, everything, I DJ'd, I never put the culture into it because, as I said, it's spiritual. The foundation is spiritual. And, in my mind, I'm like, no way, you can't do that. You just don't even try to do that because you'll get, people will say, what are you doing? You can't do that. The elders will scold you. And so I knew that. I never put it together. But I was a dancer as well, first, and then I did hip hop. And then we got invited to Bozeman, Montana for Native American Heritage Day. They say, can you dance? I say, yeah, we can. So they had a drum group. We danced. We talked about the history of the dances, and we exhibition danced. We got done. We went off to the stage. We were done. And the young lady who was running the thing, she goes, hey, don't you guys rap? Why don't you rap for all these kids that are here? And we're like, yeah, sure, we can. So we started walking to our vehicle to go change from our regalia into our hip hop clothes, or whatever, regular clothes. And she said, where are you going? I was like, oh, we're going to go change. She said, no, I just go on right now. Time, we just finish it off. There's no other speakers. And we're like, oh, okay. I looked at my nephew. He was a traditional dancer. And he looked at me and goes, let's just do it so we can go eat. I was like, all right, cool. So we get up there, we wrapped in our outfits, something new is unique. People are like, what the heck is this? I'm like, okay, all right. They jammed out, we got done, went off to the side, and I saw one of our elders, he was coming over. He's actually one of my grandpas, and he just passed away just recently last month. But anyway, he came over, and I was afraid, my heart started beating. I was like, oh man, I'm going to get scolded. What am I going to say? How am I going to respond? And then when he got close, he stuck his hat out. He took his hat off and he stuck his hand out and he said, grandson, he said, I want to shake your hand. He said, that was powerful. What you boys just did, you got up there and showed them that you're proud to be Apsaalooke. You knew what you were talking about. You're good dancers too. He said, then you spoke the language of those youth, which was hip hop. and they listen to you because of it, then you had something positive to say. I heard you talking about being drug and alcohol free, being a husband, being a father. He said, man, that's powerful. He said, you boys, keep that up. Keep doing that, man. That's a good thing. He said, our youth are dying. They're committing suicide. They're on drugs and alcohol. We're losing our language. We're losing our ways. Anything you boys do to reach them, with good intentions, it's worth it, So that was the moment that my mind changed, my heart changed. I thought, yo, it is good. It is good to put the two together, as long as you have good intentions and you're trying to reach those people, So that was the story, the moment that I kind of changed, my thinking.
That's beautiful. Nothing like a positive accident almost to have all those things like integrate, right?
For sure, yep.
Let's see, a couple more things. So Jason actually has a follow-up question. So can you talk a little bit more about how you see music, how your music and other Native songs, how those move our world and relationships past this idea of colonization?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think music is that tool, I mean, listen, you listen to Bob Marley, man. Like, if you ever watch that documentary, man, he had these two people, like, are these two groups of people like warring against each other, killing each other, and man, he brought them together. Like, music has that power to do that. It has the power to educate and put you in a certain mood and relay those messages. I think I see music as that tool, as a more powerful than we think. I think it has that power to get inside your soul, and change your mindset, things like that. So that's how I view music as a Native person. I think so many, I guess, activists, not really activists, just people who are fighting for their right to live, and be equal in society. Like, music is kind of like the forefront, like, especially us natives. You get on TikTok, you get on native TikTok, man, you see Tia Wood, you see Notorious Cree. These guys got like millions of followers now, and they're educating, they're positive people, they're sober, and they're using that, utilizing our music for that medicine. They're spreading it out there to the people. And just like I said, when we hear that drum, we can't help but feel it. And so they're utilizing that power of music, and it's going forth and educating, and it's creating those waves, for us as Native Indigenous people.
I love that. And I think there's something I heard, we undervalue joy so much, and that the act of joy and the joy that music can bring can be a form of resistance as well sometimes. So I think there's a lot of power in that idea as well. Deborah, do you want to chime in at all?
Yes, I would like to say something. Thank you. So I just wanted to back up a little bit and talk a little bit about what Chris was talking about when he said where he was only doing rap and then not mixing it with our Native culture, and then seeing, we talk a lot about things that are appropriate and things that are not appropriate, and how we carry ourselves as Natives, because we know that we're going to get in trouble for things that we're not supposed to do, like speaking in front of elders. I told my coworkers that before, that it's hard for me to do. It affects me in my professional career because it's just taboo. It's just something you don't do. But then when we test those waters in good ways, like tonight, what we're doing here, sharing this all with you, I think I'm hoping that we're going to have a good outcome, and that everybody here tonight is going to be happy that they came, and happy that we were able to share this with them. And coming from the University Art Museum, that it is truly connected, and was born an idea from me to share with you guys. So it was from a Native person wanting to share with the greater community here at Laramie, and online, virtually, and then talking more about using this medium to share about us as Native people and to see us through a different lens. I never knew that before until I watched Jordan, the PBS documentary, What Was Ours? Art, no, what was it? The Art of Home. Is that it? The Wind River story, the one that Jordan Dresser helped produce. And to see in that documentary, they showed like our dresses, our shawls, our beading, basically our way of life as we know it as Native people, and it's just a normal everyday life thing for us. And then to see it through a different lens, through like people looking at it through art and through a different lens, it's different. It's, you experience it in a different way. It's really a beautiful thing to connect in that way and to see it and appreciate it from different angles, and being able to take something with you that is powerful, you know, that you can use, like these songs that we're sharing with you. Like I was telling you, you know, when I'm running and my last stretch, it's all uphill and it's like a quarter, about a half a mile, and I'm tired and I'm ready to quit and I just want to stop and go home. And then I hit that song that we listened to, the prayer loop song, and that gives me strength. And then right after that on my playlist, Stand Up comes on, and that finishes. And like I feel like Rocky at the end, you know, I just like, yeah, for all the people, you know, it is like real powerful, real strong. And I just like want to encourage you guys, you know, go back to those things that make you strong, you know, keep doing those good things, share it. That's what I wanted to say.
I love
Thanks
it.
for letting me jump in, Katie.
Oh, please, please, anytime. And you were actually reading the mind of someone in the audience. You already answered, but they wanted to know how the joy of Supaman's music motivated you. Are there other ways that his music and just what he's doing motivates you?
Yeah, there was actually a video that they shared about, and it wasn't well, there was some music in there, but we talked about something that as Crows, what we do each year as spring rolls around, before we go out and we swim in the river, before we ever take part, we go and we offer food to it, and we bless ourselves, and we ask the water to bless us and watch over us. And so we do that. And that was something that I always did as a child, growing up. Every summer before we ever went in the water, we always fed the water. And then, but that's something that my kids didn't know. And share it with them and actually show them, because we're not close to a river. We don't have a river behind the house like I did when I was growing up. And so we're able to share that. And so through those things, by combining hip hop and our culture and our ways and those little things, and it's same things with day to day and things from, you know, our heritage intertwined. And he said something that was really hit home for me. You know, we walk in two worlds. We maintain our spiritual self while we maintain our physical health, and then we need to stay grounded as Native people with our ceremonies and our songs. And so, like, being away from home, I can't always sing those ceremonial songs, but then I can sing along with his songs when I run. And there's a little bit of like, I rock that part, that crow part on Stand Up, just so you know. I sing it loud and proud, and it makes me strong. And so I just encourage you guys to do the same, you know, whatever it is, you know, and don't feel like, oh, it's not mine, I can't use it. No, it's good. It's for everybody.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Christian, do you want to respond to that at all?
I'm just grateful, you know, to see like the impact, you know, of the music as an artist. You know, we make music and we put it out there, and then along the way we find out what power that we have and what a responsibility, we have as an artist, because people are listening to you. They're taking what you're saying to heart, and that frequency, that power, that drum, those sounds are affecting the people's their spirits. And so I learned that along the way. I learned that responsibility that I had as an artist. And many times after doing a show or whatever, I'll get an inbox from somebody and say, hey man, I was at your show, man, and to tell you the truth, man, I was gonna commit suicide tonight, man, and I just listened to your songs, man. I was way in the back, and man, the more you performed, the more peace I felt. I felt a peace come over me, and I just wanted to face life. I didn't want to take my life. I wanted to face life, and I wanted to inbox you and tell you thank you. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for making music. You saved my life. So when you hear that, you understand that it is powerful. That the music is doing something and it's impacting the people. So it's just good to hear, my sister say that. And just to know that. People are listening and taking to heart what you're saying.
Awesome. I have a wonderful question from 11-year-old Lina. Have you made up new Native American dances, and what would the next dance be about?
Good question there. Yeah. So in the powwow culture, there's different dances that are kind of like the go-to dances. There's certain dances. There's chicken dance, there's fancy, there's traditional, there's grass, there's jingle, women's fancy, women's traditional, there's crow style. There's different categories of dancing. And the jingle dress is actually new as well. It came from a vision, from somebody's dream, and then they kind of like, it kind of spread, it just kind of came out. But the fancy dance, the dance that you saw me do, the moves are kind of unique. You can basically make up your own moves. You can make up your dances, in that dance. So a lot of people want to dance that style because they can just put some moves to work, like freestyle. You can like freestyle your dances. So if you saw the dance there, that wasn't choreographed. It wasn't like a routine. It was just like how I felt, how the song made me feel. I just created that music, or created that dance, from the music. And so I guess we stick with the styles of dance, but in our steps, we kind of make it original. So we kind of make our own dances that way.
Awesome. Lina, that was a great question. One last question for the night. Can you tell us about your hat? Mindy Glantz loves your hat, wants to know more about your hat.
Oh, this hat. Yeah. This is a reservation hat. Back in the days, maybe the 1930s, there was a hat company that kind of was going to the reservations, and they had different styles of hats. And the Crows, the Apsaalooke, they really like these, the tall hats like this. And so they, like all the horsemen, they started wearing these hats, and it was cool. It was cool to them. So you went up to other tribes like, the Lakotas or the Apaches. They like the different style. If you look to the old pictures, they had like the smaller hats, and like that. But Crows, we really like the tall ones. And so there was a time when nobody really wore these. They only wore these in the parades. They had a category called a reservation hat category, where you wear your vest and your cuffs and your beadwork, and you wore your hat like this, and you put a scarf on it like this. And so it just had old school style that they kind of kept going, but they wouldn't really wear them in public. Nobody was really wearing these in public. They kind of were dying off. And then I saw some young people, they were sporting these as a basketball game. And I thought, yo, man, that's good. These guys are kind of bringing that style back and saying, yo, I'm gonna buy one too. So I bought this hat, just to rock this old school Crow style hat, reservation hat.
I love it. And so the top part is a scarf, right? And then there's beading around the brim, the edge.
Yeah, they don't normally bead the edge, but that's kind of my twist on it, I guess you could say. My wife was like, yo, I'll beat it, I'll make it look nice. And so, just making it our own.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I do want to be mindful of time. I have one last thing to read. Our collections manager added, and this kind of goes back to the idea of why we're here tonight, being inspired by the moccasins on view at the art museum. It's a quote that says, "All museums rest on the hope, the belief that the study of things can lead to a truer understanding of the world." And I think in combination with these discussions, we learn so immensely from each other. And that to me is good medicine, right? So I just want to say thank you to Christian and to Deborah, to all of you out in the audience as well. Deborah, do you want to talk a little bit about the events that are coming up next week as well?
So starting on Sunday, we are going to the University Art Museum is in partnership with the Natives on our social media pages. You can visit either our website or the social media pages to a week-long speaker series hosted by the center as well. The flyers are available. We also invite people to swing by the art museum if you are in town to see the material tradition exhibition. The entire week for Native American Month. Well, we're celebrating a week of events, but the Native American month is the entire month of November. Who knows? We may have another thing before the end of the month. We'd love to share some food. With the COVID restrictions, we'll see.
right. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Love to have some Navajo tacos.
Supaman, Christian, any parting thoughts that you'd like to share tonight?
I just wanted to thank everybody, man, for tuning in and being patient and listening. Open your mind, open your heart, to cultures, and that's what it's all about. Spend time with people, who don't look like you. Spend time with people who don't pray the way you pray, who don't believe the things that you believe in. Spend time with them, and when you do, open your heart, open your mind, to each other's humanity. That's what it's all about. The basics, love one another, respect one another, be kind, and learn. That's what we're doing here is we're learning from each other in a respectful way. And so I just want to, tell you all I appreciate you, and keep going strong in this pandemic, and we'll get through it together.
Deborah, anything you want to share?
I just wanted to say thank you to the education team for pulling this all together, and a whole to my brother for being with us this evening and sharing good medicine. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us on Zoom or YouTube. A hope.
Awesome. Thank you all. Have a beautiful evening. Take care and share the recording with your friends. All right. Good night, all.